We've just published 6 videos exploring the intricate and delicate beauty and symmetry in all the fundamental patterns that make the zodiac what it is. Now, let's have a look at the monkey wrenches and sledgehammers that some common zodiac misconceptions throw at this beautiful work of art, the zodiac. I believe the classical zodiac of astrology is one of the greatest works of art humanity has yet to conceive. Its 12-fold equal dimensions, its rulership by the 7 planets, its stratification of gender binaries, and its patterns of elemental triplicities and modal quadruplicities. Each one is so balanced and symmetrical, and each one interacts with the others so gracefully, to weave an incredibly rich symbolic framework that reflects the depth and complexity of life itself. So what kinds of monkey wrenches can we throw at this beautiful thing? Well, we have 2 hands, so let's throw 2. The first one is the concept that the zodiac is sidereal, or the extension of that concept that it's even constellational. Boom, let's put that in our right hand. And in our left hand, let's put Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, and even the nodes. Throw those 2 babies and let's see what happens. So in episode 1, we learned why the zodiac has 12 divisions and not some other number, and why they're all 30 degrees equal. So we learned that the sun's movement is really the basis for the zodiac. The sun's movement over the course of the day, which is to rise and set relative to your horizon, is mirrored over the course of a year as the sun rises and sets over the Earth's horizon, which in other words is the equator. The local horizon and the sun's movement over that sets up the houses, but the Earth's equator and the sun's movement relative to that sets up the zodiac signs. That acts as the anchor for the zodiac signs, and then the rhythm of the sun and moon, the lunar solar rhythm of there being 12 lunar cycles or months within one solar cycle or year, is what causes there to be 12 divisions in the zodiac. So we explored that, and if you're interested in hearing about that in more detail, please go ahead back to episode 1 and watch it. But for now, let's take a monkey wrench and see if we can break it. Let's say that the zodiac is sidereal. What will we wind up with? Well, we'll still have this lovely pattern of the sun and moon forming the 12 symmetrical divisions. But we don't have the solstices and equinoxes acting as the anchor and reference points for these motions. Instead, we're going to have a star play that role. And this is why it's called sidereal. In Latin, sidereus means star. So sidereal means a stellar-based zodiac. So that sounds okay. But the only initial problem is, out of the hundreds of prominently visible stars that you could see in the sky, there literally is not one in the place where 0 degrees Aries is supposed to be. Well, that's okay. We can look around for another one. And siderealists mostly kind of sort of agree to use this one, Spica, to mark the middle of their zodiac. In other words, 0 degrees Libra. It doesn't look too bad. We haven't messed up the art too much. But pretty soon we're going to see what eliminating the solstices and equinoxes does to the elements, modes, and genders. For now, let's just push this monkey wrench a little bit harder. Because if the zodiac is based on a star or stars, then why shouldn't it actually be the stars? Hence, the derivation of a sidereal zodiac is something called a constellational zodiac, which is the idea that, those constellations up in the sky literally are the stars. So this not only does away with the 4 cardinal points, the solstices and equinoxes, it also does away with the lunar solar rhythm that creates 12 symmetrical divisions. Replacing that lunar solar rhythm are the actual borders of the actual constellations. So instead of a zodiac that looks like this, we wind up with one that looks like this. You're going to have Aries be 25 degrees, Taurus be 37, Gemini be 31, Cancer be 20, Leo be 37, Virgo be 45 degrees, and so on. And actually, since we're talking about constellations, let's not forget that there's actually a 13th constellation intruding into the Zodiac belt. So what it really looks like is this. Now, everybody has their own sense of what's beautiful and what's ugly, and I'm not going to make a value judgment on that. But my sense of what's beautiful and ugly kind of works out something like this. And another wacky thing about once you've come this far from the roots of what the Zodiac really is, and once you come to saying that it's actually the constellations, maybe somebody should ask, why 13? Like, who drew these constellations and why? Why not make 8 constellations or 16 or 25 or 52? They're just dots. But I'm not going to really push that point today, because advocates of these systems are going to say that this definitely, obviously, undeniably looks like this. In episode 2, we looked at the beautiful symmetry in which planets rule which signs. The whole symmetry of the planets ruling the signs is based on their relationship to the sun and moon in terms of speed. Therefore, how close they are actually to the sun. And the sun will establish its location looking for the highest point in the heavens, which is conducive to its nature, in other words, fire. So the sun would take the 5th division, Leo, because it's fiery, fixed, and it's up high in the sky where the royalty belongs. Again, if you want to know more about that, episode 2 is for you. Go back and watch that after this. But for now, let's just take this beautiful monkey wrench here and throw it at that lovely Zodiac and see what happens. So if we take the sidereal theory, which is to anchor the Zodiac to a star instead of the cardinal points, then what happens to the cardinal points? Well, the cardinal points will slowly drift backwards through the signs. If we do this, we lose the anchor point for the rulerships, because we lose the rationale behind why the sun would prefer the 5th division over, say, another fire division like the 1st or the 9th. And in fact, as we're going to see real soon, we're even going to lose any rational justification for why the 5th, 1st, and 9th should be fiery. And for that matter, why the 5th would be fixed. So if we allow the cardinal points to drift through the signs rather than affix the signs to the cardinal points, then the element, mode, and height, celestial height of the signs becomes temporary. And the element, mode, and celestial height of Leo is what makes the sun choose that one out of the all 12 of them to be its domicile. And then based on where the sun roots, the rest of the planets revolve around that. So if you throw this monkey wrench of removing the tropical points from the Zodiac, you've messed up the whole scheme that makes any sense of the planetary rulers. Now let's give some airtime to the second monkey wrench, which is the concept that Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto should have some part of this lovely drama here, because those are planets too. I mean, you can see them with your telescopes. What happens if we include astronomical planets, modern planets, into the concept of rulership? So Jupiter, you have to say goodbye to Pisces, or at least you have to move over to make room for Neptune, who now owns or co-owns Pisces. Saturn, get the heck out of Aquarius or move over and make room, because now Uranus is the master, or at least the co-master. Mars, guess what? Even you got to go away. Give some room for Mr. Pluto. And, let's not forget about Vedic concepts that people want to give rulerships to the north and south nodes, and they're going to say, let's stick more people into Scorpio and Aquarius. Let's put Rahu over there in Aquarius and Ketu over here in Scorpio. Yeah, take a look. Again, I don't want to judge beauty by my standards, but to share with you what my standards are, this is the kind of feeling that I have about the relative beauty of these two systems. In episode 3, we explored gender in the Zodiac and how rich and fully spectrumed the Zodiac representation of gender actually is. Man, you can really monkey wrench this. I'm just going to show you the first level of monkey wrenchness that we can do to this. Let's take the sidereal sledgehammer first. So again, what that does is it detaches the cardinal points from the signs, and therefore they drift backwards. Now, in a hot minute, we're going to talk about what this does to the elements of the signs. But for now, just remember that the genders are a byproduct of a sign's element. So you should raise a skeptical eyebrow about what this is going to do to the definition of which signs are which gender. If we take the other monkey wrench and hit it too, we're going to add some more rulers. Look what happens. One of the really beautiful and actually important things about gender in the zodiac is that every planet has a balance of male and female. They own a male and a female sign. But if you add the modern sign rulers, say goodbye to that. The whole half of the zodiac becomes unbalanced. In the 4th episode, we talked about the elements of the zodiac signs. What are they and why are they in certain places? Why is Aries fire? Why is Cancer water? Or why is Virgo earth? We explained all that in episode 4. And if you're interested in that, definitely please go watch that video after this one is done. For now, we want to break it and wreck it. So now we're finally also going to see how this is going to impact on gender, because gender is a byproduct of the elemental nature of a sign. We'll take this monkey wrench and we're going to break the cardinal points so that they fall off the signs. In other words, we use a sidereal definition that the zodiac signs are anchored to a star, not the 4 cardinal points. So these 4 cardinal points, the 2 solstices and equinoxes, are drifting now backwards. Well, it's pretty hard to imagine what we should do about the impact that this has on the elemental nature of the signs, as you can kind of see. Should we maintain Aries as a fire sign, even though the eastern point, which is the cause of Aries being a fire sign, is now no longer in contact with Aries? Or should we say that since the eastern point is drifting into Pisces, Pisces is not a water sign anymore, now it's a fire sign? If you're trying to answer either one of these questions, I would advise you to stop, because they're rhetorical questions. There really is no good answer to these questions. The questions are just pointing out how weird it is to let the 4 cardinal points drift through the signs, and what effect that has upon how we actually fundamentally define the signs themselves. On the other hand, if we take monkey wrench number 2 and add new planets to the scheme, what does that do? Well, when we had the classical scheme, we had a perfect definition for a very important concept in astrology that really has a huge impact on dignity in classical astrology, which is the friendships that the planets have with each other. If you add new planets into this mix, you should kiss this goodbye as well. Or maybe you shouldn't kiss it goodbye, but you're going to be kissing it goodbye. In episode 5, we looked at cardinal, fixed, and dual modalities, or quadruplicities as they're called. And we explained and understood how and why certain signs have the particular modality that they have. We understand why Aries is a cardinal sign, Taurus is a fixed sign, and Gemini is a dual sign, etc. It's all because of the way that the sun interacts relative to the 4 cardinal points. Crossing into a new point, it becomes ambitious for a new thing, it becomes cardinal. Remaining in there for some time, it is fixed or steady. And then as it approaches the next cardinal point, it tries to be both at once. It tries to remain fixed so it can finish, and it tries to look ahead to start a new one. So that's the simple thing about what the modes are and how they come about in the zodiac. If you want to hear that in more detail and depth and understand it more clearly, go please and watch episode 5 after we're done. For now, we want to mess it up. We want to see what happens if we make the zodiac sidereal. So again, it's just like with the elements. It's going to be really hard to figure out what to do if we decide to anchor the zodiac to a star and let the cardinal points drift, because this is what happens. So should we keep Pisces as a dual sign, even though the cardinal point has drifted into it? Or should we update things and say, well, now the cardinal point is in Pisces, so Pisces is a cardinal sign? And again, these questions are rhetorical. They have no reasonable answers, because it simply isn't reasonable to detach the zodiac from its foundation, the 4 cardinal directions. So in conclusion, the classical zodiac is truly an astoundingly complex and delicate work of art. And misconceptions like the sidereal theory and the modern ideas of modern astronomical planets, etc., are like monkey wrenches and sledgehammers being thrown at this beautiful, delicate work of art. I hope this video helped you appreciate one of the many beautiful symmetrical aspects of the classical zodiac, and how it interacts so gracefully with other zodiacal facets to weave an incredibly rich symbolic lattice that is truly one of the greatest creative works of art humanity has ever conceived. If you like this video, you can use this playlist to watch all the videos in this series. And of course, please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave some comments. Thank you so much.